I think it does very well against Ferris, because when Ferris dashes in, Moya can just stun Ferris. But no, it is a jungle Moya.
Do a little
Right, I will
Flynn
leave
announcer.
you two to mingle.
All right.
Have fun times.
All right,
Thanks,
Organic. We'll see you next game.
Yep.
Later,
Okay.
dude.
All right, as these guys lock in their roles and whatnot, I'm going to take a quick 2 minutes here. I will be right back for the start of the game.
Cool. So, as we anticipated, they're going for the most conventional choices for these shapers. TMP4 will be going with Gladiators Ronin and Basco, Tacticians Kam and Sakari, and Hunter Moya. And same thing on RE.NA's side. Gladiators Kensu and Ashabel, Tacticians Dibs and Tess, and Hunter Faris, like we saw in the first game of the stream. And Scipio GG did very well on that Hunter Faris, and he'll look to replicate that success here against TMP4. Two undefeated teams in this Group B, the Deadpool, as we're calling it. And the winner of this game will advance to the bracket stage no matter which team it is.
Some of you
It all
may not
comes down to
return from
this.
Today's battle, the rest definitely won't.
And right off the bat, we can see the teams opting to go down different lanes. RE.NA coming from the Spirit side will go bot, and TMP4 coming from the Mortal side will go top. So at least initially, they will not encounter each other at level 1.
I want those minions on the field in 30, Sergeant. Snap 2.
RE.NA playing it cautiously here. They don't know where the enemy team is, and you can see them checking the Fog of War with skill shots. They're now pinging the enemy haste jungle. Meanwhile, TMP4 going into RE.NA's power jungle.
Okay, I'm back.
All right, you didn't miss much.
I didn't miss anything, yeah.
They went separate ways at level 1. They're in each other's jungles, so just some offensive warding, placing down the wards to see where the enemy jungler will go. However, they might collide here top lane,
Uh-oh.
but they will be very close to RE.NA's binding, so I think everyone's just going to go their separate ways. The question is, will TMP4 attempt to contest this unfriendly power buff? This is going to be a 3v3 here. Twirly considering it. He's going to have to decide very quickly. Genghis Khan playing forward with that Sakari Q. And wow, they are going to go for it. So a risky play here by TMP4. We'll see if it pays off.
I'm shocked about all these early jungle engages. I mean, they're just so risky. There's not much to get from them. It usually can go bad, but right now, it looks like Scipio is caught out. Scipio, I'm sorry. And Genghis Khan will pick up first blood. Scipio did get his buff. He managed to vanquish it, but I guess it worked out for TMP4 in the long run.
Yeah, Scipio showing off his vanquish skills, just like he did with that first parasite steal in Game 1 against their sister team, RE.NA. But yeah, because he continued hitting the buff and his teammates backed off, the buff cost him his life, so absolutely not worth it there for Scipio. You can see him coming down the lane. He'll have a very late start here in the jungle. Whereas Moya, even though she did not get the buff, is already moving on to her haste.
Genghis Khan firing those ice lances at Punisher. Or not Genghis Khan, Sakari. Oh yeah, that's who he's on. Oh god.
Yeah. Yep, surprisingly, Genghis Khan not going with Khan, which we've actually seen at least once before. We've seen someone else on the team play Khan despite Genghis Khan's presence. So the name occasionally misleading. So it looks like MedLife on Gladiator Basco actually farming pretty well here, not taking a ton of damage. Top lane, things looking pretty tame. Punisher takes some harass in exchange for hitting 2 Shapers with his E. And look at Moya. Moya going straight through to the enemy haste buff and going for a quick steal.
Shades of McScrag right there.
I like it. Moya knew that Faris got a late start after dying, and because Scipio got behind, he wanted to do a full clear, which allowed Twirly to take that haste buff uncontested. And actually now, I was thinking Twirly might even continue to the unfriendly armor buff, which would be absolutely devastating, but he decides to take the win and back off to safety. Bot lane still even here. And we see again for the second time this tournament, great synergy between a Dibs and an Ashabel. They both have to hit skill shots to make that happen, and they're getting it done.
Yeah, Basco does have a lot of mobility to avoid the skill shots, but then he's going to be using his abilities to just avoid the skill shots from Dibs and Ashabel, and not going to be using his abilities to farm, which is what he's going to need to do on Gladiator Basco.
And it looks like RE.NA might be getting the better of this top lane ever so slightly, which is extremely impressive considering they're against a Sakari, who may be the strongest laner in the game at the moment. Still looking pretty even, though. And in terms of the junglers, Moya will be ahead once she takes this power buff. Moya, of course, with a very strong gank at level 6. Most Moya players like to farm and rush that level 6 in the jungle so they can gank with the ult, which is absolutely devastating in the 3v2.
Landfall is pretty much the ability that is the definition of pick. Moya literally scooping up her target, holding them in the air, and then repositioning and dropping them back to the down in a kind of a modified Inazuna drop.
That's right. My former alma mater, the Dead or Alive series.
Yeah.
Both junglers now contesting those money pigs, and Moya needs them if she wants to get level 6.
Ooh, Twirly.
She's fighting against Scipio 1v1 here, but Farah's pretty good in those 1v1s, and Dorf are coming to support.
Ashabel as well. She's going to look to land the Gale. She does, and the Slipstream, and Scipio picks up the kill on Twirly.
And that was really, really unfortunate for Moya there. She finished that small camp, and she was one creep away from 6. I feel like if she had gotten it, she would have skipped pigs and gone into gank, likely successfully, because of what we discussed. The fact that at level 6, Moya has a very powerful ganking ult. Because she barely missed 6, she had to go to money pigs, and it got her killed.
Oh no, now Floof going in aggressively onto Punisher and Snitch, but they're not coordinating their shots. The Shatter comes down onto Kenzu, but Punisher actually escapes. So a bit of an uncoordinated skirmish allows RE to escape with their lives. Hopefully TMP is not going to end up paying for that later on.
And I believe Floof actually messed up his orb walking ever so slightly there. I think he actually could have gotten the kill on that test. However, even forcing them out of lane is a big win there. You don't need to get a kill to get ahead in lane. If you can force someone out, keep farming, apply pressure to the binding, that's a win.
Yes, forcing someone to recall back to their locus before level 6 or any time during the laning phase has to be considered a win.
So this is our first time seeing this Gladiator Basco this tournament, and he seems to be farming very well.
Much like Gladiator Cerulean we saw last game, I'm a big fan of Gladiator Basco. I think Basco, Cerulean, and Mara are the 3 best melee gladiators, not counting Kindra. They can do it pretty well. They've got a nice little AoE clear, and when Basco starts getting farmed, we all know how much of a nuisance he can be. Just hop, skipping, jumping, and stunning, making life hell for the opponents.
And unlike the last time we saw Basco, where he lost the game, this time Basco will not be the only tanky frontline shaper. So because Moya will be there to soak up some of that damage and that CC as well, it will allow Basco to have a huge presence in these team fights.
Yeah, Basco isn't really the best singular tank for your team. Uh-oh, looks like a dueling ganks are happening. Oh, Smart Cam, don't go down here. We're going back up top. Because the landfall happens, and there come the icebergs dropping down. Scipio trying to get out of dodge. Final protocol goes off on 3 people. Here comes the Wrath of Heaven. It's not going to be enough to pick up anyone on RE, and now RE chasing down onto Floof and Genghis Khan, firing those ice lances. Oh, and then the avalanche drops down onto Punisher. Not enough walls left to block him off. The Shatter, he just lives by virtue of a health pot, so REEU once again escaping with just a sliver of life.
Yeah, Genghis Khan needed one more Sakari Q there to seal the deal, and he couldn't get it done. I do want to call out great presence of mind from an 8-year-old girl in bot lane to use her Ashabel ult up top. And wow,
Nice harass.
Ashabel goes very low now.
Has been rolled back.
Now look at the rotate happening though. Here comes TMP4 looking to go in. Ashabel's very low health. They're gonna dive her here. King of Mass and Basco just kind of biding their time. There come the walls. There comes the uprising, but it goes on to Dibs, who blinks away. The finale comes out, but doesn't do a whole lot. And it looks like REEU gonna get another win here in this gank. Are they gonna pick off Genghis Khan? Scipio just a bit out of range, but they pick her off anyway. I don't. Does he have a pride?
Yeah,
He does have a pride. That is what finished it. The heavy iron comes down. Gales are flying. The melee access memory, but a nice empowered endless delights fears the rest of REEU. So all the breaks right now seemingly going REEU's way, and now they're going to look to get a parasite to cap it all off.
Yeah, that was so close to being at least an even fight for TMP4 there. Unfortunately for them, the comm ult barely missed Dibs. If it had hit him, it would have dragged him all the way back, and things would have gone very differently. But as it stands, REEU picks up the first parasite of the game. So nicely done for them, and although the kills are 2-2, that parasite gives you quite a bit of vim. So REEU taking an early lead here.
So really nice rotate by TMP4 there. They just didn't get, again, once again, maybe it's just a fact that they have a few subs. It looks like they're having some coordination issues as far as who the primary target is. We saw it earlier on the gank top lane and just now on the dive down bottom.
Yeah, that gank was a little confused there. Basco went in, and he tried to ult someone who was low health and inadvertently got body blocked.
Tailwind chasing onto Snitch, forcing him to blink away.
So you can see here how much map control taking that first binding gives you. TMP4, even though I think they are slightly behind, they did take down the first binding of the game. So they do have map control on that side. Things still pretty close here. You can see Basco nearby trying to make something happen, but Scipio GG is waiting in the wings on Faris. He would have been there to counter gank, but everybody just backs off for now.
Now we're starting to see a little bit of a grouping here in the bottom lane. REEU has 4 shapers down. In the lane, there's only 3 members of TMP4 there, but Moya is close by at the Money Pigs on the south side.
It looks like both teams elected, perhaps only briefly, to have both of their carries go top lane and get solo Vim and solo experience. And yeah, Kensu looks like he may be going back to that top lane.
Here comes Moya, where's the landfall? Oh, she charges up the bolt but doesn't continue to give chase. Didn't have the best opportunity.
I would have loved to see a landfall there on Tess. Tess with no natural escape in her kit. She would have had the blower blink, but TMP4 decides against it, at least for now. So it looks like an extended siege going on here bottom lane. Neither team willing to abandon the situation. They don't want to lose these bindings here, both of which are still up.
Quite the battle in the bot lane occurring right now. 4
Hi-yo.
on 4.
However, while this is happening, Kensu is actually doing work on that binding top lane.
Look at his level right now, level 11. Tess, meanwhile, on his team, level 7. Sakari on the mortal side, only level 7. So Kenzu, supremely higher than everyone else in this game, and he's going to be better farming than everyone, too. He's got 114. He does have... Oh, no. He doesn't have the most yet. Nope, now he does. He's right up there with Ronan.
Yeah, this 4v4 situation favors REEU, because the Shaper who's getting solo farm on their team is a glove. For TMP4, it's Moya, and that's just not as good. I would like to, yeah, it looks like they're switching here, and in fact, actually, Ronan and Moya are going up there together to try to get a pick onto Kensu. Let's switch the camera up there ever so briefly so we can see this.
There they go. Snitch is on the
And
way,
yeah.
uses his dispel, but the thrill of the hunt gets him further, far enough out of range to avoid the landfall, but Twirly's still able to give good enough chase to secure the kill. Now with the number advantage, now TMP4 looking to go in here, but an Ashabel ult is going to dissuade them.
Yeah, as we've talked about before, even if you miss your Moya ult, it's a massive gap closer, so you can miss and transition right into chasing. So nice job there by TMP4, and despite the fact that they had a numbers disadvantage bottom lane, they got a kill there as well. So now things stand at 4-2 in favor of TMP4.
This little skirmish down in bottom lane definitely favors RE.NA just by what we were talking about earlier in their team comp, just the amount of poke they can throw down. But now look, TMP4 is looping once again with a nice rotate. They've caught Scipio and Dibs out. Dibs forced to blink away. They're trying to continue onto Scipio. King of Mass blinks in, but he doesn't land anything onto Scipio. Now Floof gets caught back out and shot back. Sakari walled off her own teammate, I think. Now Twirly is out underneath the binding. He gets hit with a Void Breaker at max range. He's going to drop. Scipio lives. RE.NA gets 2 members of the mortal side and lose none of their own.
That was such
Another rotation from TMP4 goes Ari, and I don't want to say it's because they have subs, but they definitely seem to be lacking the coordination that RE.NA has.
Yeah, that was such a great wind wall there from an 8-year-old girl to seal Floof's fate. And now things are actually going to go in favor of RE.NA if they do pick up this parasite, and they do.
Can they get Genghis Khan? Yes, they do. Punisher picks it up. Will they continue to dive? No.
Yeah, now everything's coming up RE.NA. Things were looking a little bleak for them momentarily, but now things have pretty much evened up, and now it'll be about how much can RE.NA do with that parasite buff. If they can't do anything, yeah.
Take a look at the items. Genghis Khan has his duress already to go along with a control. God Hates You has a prosperity. Medlife has a pride to go along with his vigor. Floof has a pain and an ambition. Twirly has an ambition, an abolition, and a discipline. Snitch, meanwhile, has his ambition and his pain. 8-year-old girl with prosperity and aggression. Dorfer's picked up the devotion and the duress. Pride's on Scipio and Punisher to go along with an ambition for Scipio and an abolition and a clarity for Punisher.
And it's critical that TMP4 has taken 2 bindings and RE.NA has taken none. It's going to make it a lot harder for them to siege with that parasite buff. And if RE.NA gets nothing out of that buff, I'm going to go ahead and say that actually TMP4 will remain in the lead as a result of those bindings they took down. And again, you can see RE.NA sending Snitch top lane to get solo farm on that Kensu. And he is getting some nice farm. However, his counterparts on TMP4 are right there with him. So apparently, even when there were lots of Shapers bot lane, TMP4 was taking care to give their gladiators the farm. So well played there.
Kenzu's not the most effective split pusher in the game, but the amount of pressure that the rest of RE.NA can place with this epic range harass. But now the numbers advantage favors TMP4, and they catch out Punisher. He's going to drop. They're going to look to continue to give chase. Twirly gets a nice landfall onto Dorfer. Dorfer uses Reverie to fly away. The Wrath of Heaven comes down, and that will stop the rest of this chase. But meanwhile, Kenzu taking a binding, farming for free up in top lane.
Yeah, that poke comp for RE.NA is great until they get engaged on by somebody like Basco or Moya, and at that point, they have to try to just peel back and escape. They can't fight straight up, and I feel like in team fights, they may struggle as a result of that.
If I'd been there,
The strategy here for RE.NA appears to be just get Snitch farmed, and he'll carry us late game. The problem is, while that's happening, RE.NA is dying. And TMP4 is claiming objectives.
Well, they just swapped Spirit Wells, so they're not super binded objectives, but we're gonna have to see them group up at some point.
Yep, and Snitch did take out that tier 3 binding finally, so he'll establish a little more map control for his team on that side.
So the double duress coming down from TMP4. Duress has been nerfed and does see diminishing returns when you stack them on the same person. So gonna have to see how TMP4 can coordinate with King of Masks and Sakari and their duresses.
Yeah, I think Duress synergizes particularly well with those two shapers, so not a surprise to see them both pick it up despite the nerfs. Duress, I think, still a very, very strong item, and one we'll continue to see throughout the tournament.
Oh, what's that?
And you can see one Duress on Dorfer MC on divs as well for RE.NA.
Saddle up.
Now, the thing with Snitch and this split push, as he gets engaged,
Twirly with the blitz through. The Hunt's going to try and get him out. Meanwhile, we cut back to bottom lane. The heavy iron comes down. Medlife caught. He blinks out of the Asherbell ultimate. And now he goes back in with Uprising into Scipio, an 8-year-old girl named Punisher, doing everything he can. Scipio getting very low. He drops, but so does Basco. Floof giving chase to Punisher. Picks him up. Now they change their focus onto 8-year-old girl. They have to kill Asherbell. She's the threat here. She uses Blitz to try and get some distance, but Floof blitzes on his own right. Uses Bolt and finishes her with On the House.
Wow, cool guys, don't look at explosions. Nicely done there. Floof, knowing that he had it in the bag, just chucked it and said, see ya. So, wow. Initially, it was RE.NA engaging on TMP4, but TMP4 ended up getting the better of that one by far. And I was going to say, prior to the fight breaking out, RE.NA is choosing to have Snitch split push. However, Snitch doesn't really have a split push build. He went Pain second. And if you do that, you want to be there for the engagements. I would have liked to see him maybe go for an early Fate if they're going for a dedicated split push strategy. However, we've seen that strategy doesn't really work out against a Moya. She's very mobile and she can get on top of you with that ult.
The Spirit Army lost a binding.
For TMP4 to continue this and to continue to put the pressure on RE.NA, they need to engage when their blitzes are off of cooldown. Ooh, they catch Punisher out with a duress snare, but Twirly gets snared on his own, forcing Punisher to dispel his way out of trouble.
Duress versus Duress, and I think Duress came out on top there. RE.NA has been very aggressive with their parasites. We saw that in the first game of the stream. But I wonder if they'd risk it here. I do think that TMP4 is in the lead now, but they're going for it anyway. I think Scipio has a lot of faith in his vanquishing ability, but ultimately they are deciding to just back off here.
Ooh, the heavy iron going down big onto Twirly and Floof. They pick up Twirly, no problem. Floof drops as well, thanks to the final protocol.
Wow, so some nice pickups there from RE.NA. That Tess ult, great for picks. Huge range and a massive slow field, and now it looks like TMP4 will just give up the parasite to Scipio.
The Spirit Army cleared out the Deadwood.
So RE.NA bringing it back a little bit closer. This game's kind of seesawed a little bit here. They get a couple picks as well as a parasite. They're only a kill down now, even though they're a little... or bindings are even, actually. Are they?
No. No, they're not quite even.
Yeah. TMP is ahead in bindings right now, but...
Yeah, however, both parasites have gone to RE.NA. And again, the question becomes, how much can they do with the parasite buff?
So can they recap their well? They get the East well. RE.NA does, and now it looks like King of Masks is going to try and capture the West well for his squad. I love the blades on that Paragon Faris skin.
Yeah, no, I love that skin. I like the idea behind the skin too, that he's like the best possible version of himself. It reminds me of, you know, Jet Li in The One?
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Twirly going in with the blitz. He gets the stun off, but he misses the landfall. Now he's trying to get out of dodge. Floof and Twirly have final protocol targeted on them. Twirly will survive, but the Voidbreaker goes on to Floof. A nice Asherbell avalanche, Sakari avalanche comes down. Medlife gets dropped. Punisher gets dropped. A nice finale grabs 3 members of RE.NA, but I think trading 1 for 1 will be it for that engage.
Yeah, trading 1 for 1 was a blessing there, given that RE.NA has that parasite buff, and Floof and Twirly both escaped with almost no life. One more auto would have done it for Floof. But they played it well, and they suckered in RE.NA enough to get that kill onto Punisher. God hates you all with a very nice calm ult as well, dragging in 3 people.
Well.
And you can see Moya saying 40. I don't know what that's for.
Maybe the next landfall?
Well, it's going to be up before 40 minutes.
No, maybe it was 40 seconds.
Oh, I see. That would make more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so no ults up on the side of TMP4 after that big fight. And ults slowly coming up now. And it looks like we'll have a brief breather here. Both teams bought lots of items on both sides. For TMP4 on the mortal side, Genghis Khan on Ashabel has Pursuit, Duress, and Freedom. God hates you all on Khan, Prosperity, Duress, Purity, and Aggression, Medlife, Prosperity, Will, Glory, Rebirth, Resilience, and Life, Floof, Ambition, Conquest, Pain, Command, and Power, Twirly, Discipline, Ambition, Ruin, Command, and Freedom. And on REEU, on the Spirit side, Snitch on Kensu, farming up all game, Ambition, Pain, Ruin, and Time, an 8-year-old girl on Ashabel, Prosperity, Destruction, Energy, and Pain, Dorfer MC on Dibs, Devotion, Duress, Hostility, interestingly enough, and Time, Scipio GG on that jungle, Faris, oh, I don't know if the fight's going to break out, but he has a Vengeance, an Ambition, and a Betrayal, and Punisher on Tess, Pride, and Duress, and Ruin. Glad I got through that before the fight broke out.
I know, it's a struggle, man.
Any second. And all the ults are up now. If you look at the levels,
Ooh, Moya's right there. Gets the stun onto Punisher. Forces the dispel, but he picks her up with landfall. Genghis Khan blinks in and drops Avalanche on top of everyone else, but he drops due to the Void Breaker. The finale comes out from King of Mess, grabbing 2 people. Final protocol going, but Medlife underneath the binding, chasing down but getting locked up, uses Blink to escape. Oh no, they pick up Basco anyway. Snitch with a nice job once again. The binding falls for TMP4. TMP4 gets the binding, and now they're looking to escape.
yeah, Medlife was very aggressive there, and his team wasn't quite on the same page with him.
Uh-oh, Floof caught out by Scipio, and now Snitch caught out a bit by Moya, but a nice job of attack moving. Snitch showing high level of mechanical skill to avoid certain death. Wow, that was really nice play.
REU playing that fight beautifully, everyone with very low life, which is exactly how it should be. You want to distribute the damage evenly among your team and have everyone barely live if possible. And not everyone lived, but it was certainly a one fight there. I believe that was a 4-4-1. I believe that's how it went. Either way, a great fight from REU there.
That was really, really nice play from Snitch. He had support in, there was someone else there with him, helping him out. I think it was Dibs, but it was really just Snitch with a nice use of Thrill of the Hun and just, orb walking as it were. Ooh, the Avalanche comes down. Spirit still able to steal the Parasite, the Void Breaker. Genghis Khan. It was a good effort.
Spirit soldier.
Yep, and another Parasite, the third of the game, will go to REU here. So REU being very focused on taking Parasite, taking it successfully 3 times, and now TMP4 in a bit of a rough spot. And that was a level 3 Parasite, so you can see now finally the Striders will be coming out. And with the recent changes, level 3 Parasite far more significant than level 2. Those Striders make a huge difference. They will provide a lot of pushing power to REU in both lanes. And TMP4 trying to do what they can. They're taking their power buff, they're taking a Spirit Well, but they're going to have a nasty siege coming their way, and it looks like REU has finished with the split pushing. Snitch is farmed enough. He has the most minion kills in the game, 4 and 2. They have the level 3 power buff and the Striders, and they're just all going to go for it together. And yeah, TMP4 wisely giving up that binding. There's no way they could have defended it.
The Spirit Army lost a will, but kept their grog.
And Dorfer MC even able to take a Spirit Well during that, so they were able to take 2 objectives simultaneously. And now with a fresh Strider wave, they'll look to siege that Tier 3 binding, which is always a tricky one. For the defending team, the question is always, do you give up the Tier 3 binding or
Here comes
not?
Twirly in with the blitz. He gets the stun off. He grabs a lamp. I don't know who he grabbed. It was Punisher who blinks away. Rather Heaven comes down. Avalanche comes down. Dorfer and Scripio get caught in the finale. Medlife trying to go in on Punisher, but he will drop. Scipio will drop going in on his own against 3 members of TMP. Snitch looking to give chase, but a nice stasis from King of Masks prevents his death.
Mortal's doing rather well.
Yeah, a relatively even fight there, although Snitch had a lot more peel for him than Floof did, so both of them were doing work, doing a ton of damage to the enemy team, but eventually Floof had to back off because his life got too low, whereas Snitch remained near full for the duration of the fight.
All that solo farm and solo experience that Snitch got early on. He's the first Shaper to hit level 20. He's got 4 legendary items. He's already got his Force. I mean, Snitch has got to be the focus for TMP if they want to win these team fights. They've got to find a way to get to Kenzu and negate all that damage he's able to lay down between Ruin and Fate.
Yeah, I would like to see Moya save her ult for Snitch, if possible.
They're using Moya to initiate a lot of these fights, and I think it might be better serving for Sakari to do more of those blinks, to drop that blink avalanche and hold everyone in place to allow Twirly to get to the back line and pick up Snitch.
Yeah, and I wonder if Floof could maybe even go on Snitch with that huge mobility on Ronin and that execution ult. I wonder if maybe he could duel Snitch and Snitch's own back line. He would have to outplay all of REU, but Ronin has the tools in his kit to do so.
It's going to be tough, though, because
yeah.
now Snitch has picked up a dominance, so those crits could start flying, and it could really just mess Floof's day up.
Yep. 5 legendary items for Snitch, and only 4.5 for Floof. However, with that Ronin ult, that could even things up. Kensu, of course, does not have a steroid like Ronin does. At least not an ult-level steroid. So again, REU will look to siege here. Parasite will be coming up in about a minute and a half. And it looks like REU wants to be aggressive even before that. Will it cost them?
They're doing that cute trick where they're just going to try and poke down and siege from range and engage when it's beneficial to them after they've laid down a good amount of poke, or maybe they could just force TMP to split depending on which binding they want to try and defend here. Or actually, there is no binding in top lane, so the only binding is down bottom lane, but they don't want that creep wave to stack up into a nice big cheeseburger and wreak havoc on their cores. Oh. There's the avalanche, but it doesn't land any stuns. Dorfer blinks away, Heavy Iron comes down, they're on to Floof. Floof is getting taken out really low, but the final protocol goes off. Floof is going to survive. Dorfer now the focus of the attack. He will drop. Punisher takes out a kill. Here comes the landfall from Moya, but Scipio and the rest of REEU is giving chase, and Gadetual is the last one to drop a 5 for 2 trade for REEU, and they're going to get some serious damage into this base now.
Yeah, that was a very late ult from Moya there. I would have liked to see Moya go on Snitch earlier if possible, but the positioning was a little weird there with the wall. Floof thought he was safe, but Scipio came around and did his W from over the wall and finished him off there.
I doubt the Mortal
great
Army
play there
planned
from
on the fight
Scipio.
going that way.
They might have enough time here to finish this game out.
Yeah, I think they will.
I think they will as well. Still 20 seconds before anyone on TMP will come, but a competitive effort from them for having 3 subs. They put up a hell of a fight. They suffered a little bit in their coordination, but that's got to be expected when you have that many subs. But still, a really, really good fight, a really, really good
Sergeant,
game.
fetch
Congratulations
me
to
a fresh batch
REU
of
for
medals
advancing to
the
the bracket
Spear
stage.
Army.
Yeah, really, really well done to them. REU, the third team to advance to the bracket.